I still remember the exact moment my phone rang that Thursday night. My father's voice was shaken, almost breaking, as he told me they were about to lose everything. The house my grandfather built with his own hands, the electricity about to be cut off, my mother needing medicine she could not afford. Without hesitation, I emptied my savings and sent $5,000. I felt like a good son. I had no idea that just 2 days later, my entire world would flip upside down when I opened Instagram. Before I continue, I want to know where you are watching from tonight. Drop your city in the comments below. And if you have ever given everything you had for family only to question if it was worth it, hit that subscribe button and stay with me. Because what happened next changed everything I thought I knew about the people who raised me. My name is Ansel, and I am 32 years old. I work as a software engineer at a tech company in Denver, Colorado. It is a good job with a decent salary around $85,000 a year. Not rich by any means, but comfortable enough that I should have been able to start building a real future by now. I live in a small one-bedroom apartment. Nothing fancy. The furniture is mostly second-hand, and I drive a Honda Civic that is almost 10 years old. I've been saving every penny I could for the past 2 years because I had a dream. I wanted to buy a house. A real home where maybe one day I could start a family with my girlfriend Harper. She's a nurse at a local hospital, and we have been together for 3 years. She's the kind of person who makes you want to be better, you know. But here's the thing about me. Ever since I was a kid, I was taught one lesson above all others. Family comes first, no matter what. My parents drilled that into my head. They sacrificed for us, they always reminded me. Every decision they made was for me and my older sister, Stacy. And I believed it. I carried that belief like a badge of honor. My parents still live in Ohio, in a small town outside Columbus. It is about 1,200 miles from Denver, so I do not see them often. Maybe once or twice a year for holidays. But I call regularly, and more importantly, I send money. Not huge amounts at first, 200 here, 500 there. Whenever they mentioned something was tight, I would help out. That is what a good son does, right? So when my phone rang that Thursday evening, I did not think twice. I had just gotten home from a long day at work, and I was standing in my tiny kitchen boiling water for instant noodles. The caller ID said Dad and I picked up immediately. His voice sounded different, strained, almost like he had been crying. "Son," he said, "I hate to call you like this, but we are in real trouble." I turned off the stove. "What is going on, Dad?" He started explaining. The electricity bill had piled up for 3 months. $800 they could not pay. The power company was threatening to shut everything off by the end of the week. But that was not even the worst part. The mortgage was 2 months behind. The bank had sent a foreclosure notice. They were going to lose the house. "The house your grandfather built," he said, his voice cracking. "I cannot let that happen, Ansel. I just cannot." Then he mentioned my mother. Her back had been bothering her for months, and she needed medication. But their insurance would not cover it, and they could not afford it out of pocket. She was in pain every single day. "Son, I have never asked you for this much," he said, "but we need $5,000. I know it is a lot. If you cannot do it, I understand. We will figure something out. Maybe sell the car. I do not know." I could hear my mother crying softly in the background. My heart felt like it was being squeezed in a fist. "Dad," I said, "Do not worry about it. I will send the money tonight." The relief in his voice was immediate. "You are a blessing, son. We do not deserve you. Thank you. Thank you so much." After I hung up, I sat down on my couch and opened my banking app. The number stared back at me. $5,847. That was everything. 2 years of skipping vacations, eating cheap, saying no to things I wanted, all of it sitting right there, waiting to become a down payment on a home. I typed in $5,000 and hit send. Just like that, I had $847 left to my name. I texted Harper. "Had to send money to my parents. Emergency. I will explain tomorrow." She replied with a simple message. "Everything okay," followed by a heart emoji. I told her yes and tried to convince myself the same thing. That night I went to bed feeling strangely proud. I had saved my parents. I had done what a good son should do. The house would be safe. Mom would get her medicine. Everything would be fine. 2 days later, I woke up on a lazy Sunday morning. Harper was working an early shift, so I had the apartment to myself. I made coffee, sat on the couch, and started scrolling through Instagram. Just a normal morning routine. Then I saw it. A story from my mother's account. A bright turquoise cocktail in a fancy glass. White sand in the background. Crystal blue water stretching to the horizon. The caption read, "Paradise Found," with a palm tree emoji and a sunshine emoji. I blinked, stared at the screen, scrolled to the next story. My father had posted too, a photo of both of them standing in front of a massive resort entrance grinning like they had won the lottery. The hashtags underneath made my stomach turn. Couples getaway. Blessed life. Turks and Caicos. I felt like someone had punched me in the gut. I checked the timestamps, yesterday and today. I checked the location tag, Grace Bay Turks and Caicos. I grabbed my laptop and searched the resort. Room rates started at $400 a night, going up to $600 for ocean view suites. My hands were shaking. I could barely breathe. There had to be an explanation, right? Maybe someone gifted them this trip. Maybe they won a contest. Maybe it was some kind of mistake. I kept scrolling through their posts, desperately searching for something that made sense. But nothing did. I spent the next hour going through my parents' social media accounts like a detective. I scrolled back through weeks of posts I had never paid attention to before. And what I found made everything worse. 1 week before my father called me crying about bills, he had posted a photo from an upscale steakhouse. The caption said, "Treating my queen to a night out." My mother was smiling, holding a glass of wine, wearing a dress I had never seen before. 3 days before that, my mother posted a picture of a designer handbag. Not the most expensive brand, but definitely not cheap. Her caption read, "Gary surprised me. Best husband ever." There was no sign of struggle, no indication of drowning in bills, no desperation, just two people living comfortably while their son ate instant noodles and drove a decade-old car. I needed to talk to someone. I called my sister Stacy. She's 3 years older than me, married with 2 kids living in North Carolina. We are not super close, but we keep in touch. "Hey, little brother," she answered. "What is up?" I tried to keep my voice steady. "Stacy, I need to ask you something. Have Mom and Dad asked you for money recently?" There was a long pause on the other end, then a heavy sigh. "Oh, no," she said quietly. "They got you too." My heart sank. "What do you mean?" Stacy told me everything. 3 years ago, our parents called her with a similar story. They said the roof was leaking badly and needed emergency repairs. $8,000. Stacy did not have that kind of cash lying around, so she took out a personal loan to help them. 1 month later, she saw photos on Facebook. Our father had bought a fishing boat. Not a huge one, but nice enough. When Stacy confronted them, our mother brushed it off. It was on sale. We could not pass it up. The roof can wait until spring. Stacy was devastated. She stopped sending money after that, and her relationship with our parents had been strained ever since. They guilt-tripped her constantly, calling her selfish and ungrateful. She learned to live with the tension, but it was not easy. "I should have warned you," she said, "but I thought maybe they treated you differently. You were always their favorite." I did not know what to say. I felt sick. After hanging up with Stacy, I started thinking about all the other times I had sent money over the past 2 years. The water heater that supposedly broke, $1,500. The car engine that needed repair, $1,800. Medical bills insurance would not cover, $2,000. Property taxes they could not afford, $1,200. I never asked for receipts. I never requested proof. I just sent the money because they were my parents and I trusted them completely. When I added it all up, not counting the regular monthly help of $200 or $300 I had given them, over $12,000 in emergency funds alone. $12,000 that might have been completely unnecessary. That evening, Harper came home from her shift. She knew something was wrong the moment she saw my face. I told her everything. The phone call, the money, the Caribbean vacation, Stacy's story, all of it. She held my hand and listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. "I am so sorry, babe," she finally said, "but honestly, I am not surprised." I looked at her confused. She hesitated, then told me something she had never mentioned before. Last Thanksgiving, when my parents visited Denver, my mother had pulled Harper aside in the kitchen. They were alone, and my mother asked her a strange question. "So nurses make good money, right? Ansel says you work a lot of overtime." Harper felt uncomfortable, but answered politely. She did not think much of it at the time, but looking back, she realized my mother was sizing up how much money we had access to as a couple. I felt like a fool. The next day at work, I told my best friend Marcus what happened. Marcus and I have been close since college. He is the kind of guy who tells you the truth even when you do not want to hear it. He did not sugarcoat anything. "Bro, that is financial abuse," he said flatly. "They are using you, plain and simple." I tried to defend them. "But they are my parents, Marcus. Maybe they just made some bad choices. Maybe they really do struggle sometimes." He shook his head. "Parents who love you do not lie to your face and steal your future. You need to set boundaries, or this is never going to stop." I knew he was right. But knowing something and accepting it are two different things. For the next several days, I did nothing. My parents kept posting from their vacation. Breakfast buffets with mountains of food, spa treatments, a sunset sailing cruise. Every photo felt like salt in an open wound. I did not like any of their posts. I did not comment. I did not call or text. I just watched in silence, screenshotting everything as evidence. Part of me was still hoping there would be some explanation that made sense. Part of me was scared of what would happen when I finally confronted them. But I knew the confrontation was coming. It was only a matter of time. 5 days after discovering the vacation photos, my phone rang. It was my mother. Her voice was cheerful and light, like nothing unusual had happened. "Hi, honey," she said. "Just wanted to check in. How are you doing?" I kept my voice neutral. "I am fine, Mom. How are you?" She chatted about random things: the weather in Ohio, a neighbor's new dog, a recipe she wanted to try, not a single word about Turks and Caicos, not a mention of the $5,000 I had sent. No thank you, no update on the supposedly urgent bills. Nothing. I answered in short sentences. Yes, no, that is nice. I was waiting to see if she would bring up the trip herself. She did not. We hung up after 10 minutes. I stared at the phone in my hand and realized they had no intention of being honest with me. Ever. 1 week later, my father called again. The moment I heard his voice, I knew what was coming. He had that same tone, the slightly shaky, almost tearful quality that had worked so well before. "Son, I hate to ask again," he started, "but we are still catching up from everything. The hospital sent another bill for your mother's back, and the car needs new tires before winter hits. We are looking at another $3,000. I let him finish. Then I took a deep breath. "Dad, before I answer, can I ask you something?" "Of course, son. Anything." "How was Turks and Caicos?" The silence on the other end was deafening. I could almost hear his brain scrambling for a response. How did you—" He stumbled over his words. "I saw the posts, Dad. The cocktails, the beach, the resort, Mom's paradise, your blessed life. I saw all of it." He tried to recover. That was already planned months ago. The booking was non-refundable. We could not get our money back, so we figured we might as well go. You told me you were about to lose the house Grandpa built. You said Mom could not afford her medicine. You were crying on the phone, Dad. And 2 days later, you were drinking $400 cocktails at a Caribbean resort. His tone shifted, defensive. "You do not understand. We needed a break. Life has been so stressful. You have no idea what we have been through. I emptied my savings for you," I said, my voice rising despite my effort to stay calm. 2 years of my life, every penny I had saved to buy a home, gone. And you used it for a vacation that probably cost more than my rent. Do not you dare speak to me like that." His voice turned hard. "I am your father. I do not have to explain myself to you." "Then explain why Stacy had to take out a loan for a roof that never got fixed while you bought a boat. Explain why every emergency I have ever helped with never seems to actually get resolved." There was a rustling sound, and suddenly my mother's voice was on the line. "Ansel, how can you do this to us?" She was crying. "We are your parents. We gave you life. We sacrificed everything for you and your sister. Mom, you lied to me. Dad lied to me. You told me you were drowning, and I believed you. I trusted you. You make all that money, and you cannot share a little with your family." Her voice was growing sharper through the tears. "Stacy already turned her back on us. Now you too. What did we do to deserve such ungrateful children?" I closed my eyes and steadied myself. This was the moment I had been dreading. But I knew what I had to say. "Mom, Dad, I love you. I really do. But I need you both to hear me right now." I took a breath and continued. "I called Stacy. She told me everything. The roof money that turned into a boat, the pattern of emergencies that always seemed to happen right before you wanted something nice. I looked back at every time you asked me for help. The water heater, the car, the medical bills, the property taxes. I have sent you over $12,000 in the past 2 years, not counting the regular monthly help, and I never asked for a receipt. I never questioned anything, because I trusted you. Because you're my parents and I thought you would never lie to me. My voice cracked slightly, but I pushed through. Do you know what that money was for a house? My future? Maybe a family of my own someday. I've been eating cheap skipping vacations, driving my old car because I was saving for something real. And the whole time you were booking Caribbean getaways and buying handbags and eating at steakhouses. That does not feel like love, Dad. That feels like I am being used. So, here is what is going to happen. I am not sending any more money, not now, maybe not ever. If there's a real emergency, something I can verify with actual documentation, we can have a conversation. But the days of blind transfers based on phone calls are over. My father's voice exploded through the phone. You will regret this. When we are gone, you will wish you had been a better son. My mother sobbed louder. I cannot believe you are doing this to your own mother. I am not doing this to hurt you, I said, as calmly as I could manage. I am doing this to protect myself. I love you both, but I will not be used anymore. Goodbye. I hung up the phone. My hands were trembling. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. But underneath all the fear and sadness, there was something else. Something I had not felt in a long time. Relief. Harper was sitting beside me. She took my hand and squeezed it tight. I'm so proud of you, she whispered. For the first time in years, I had put myself first, and it felt terrifying and liberating all at once. The aftermath was ugly. My mother sent long text messages filled with guilt and accusations, how she could not sleep at night, how her own son had abandoned her, how she had given me everything and this was how I repaid her. My father sent a cold email. When you come to your senses, you know where to find us. Until then, do not bother. One of my aunts, Linda, called to intervene. Your mother is devastated, she said. Can you not just apologize and make this right? I told her the truth. Aunt Linda, I love Mom, but I will not apologize for setting boundaries after being lied to. If they want to talk honestly about what happened, I am here. But I will not pretend everything is fine when it is not. She did not call again. The one bright spot was Stacy. She reached out the day after my confrontation with our parents. I heard what happened, she said. Little brother, I am so proud of you. It took me years to get to where you are. You did it in one conversation. We talked for over an hour. For the first time, we really talked about our childhood, about the ways our parents had manipulated both of us, about the guilt we carried and the freedom we were finally starting to find. We have each other, Stacy said before hanging up. They cannot divide us anymore. The first few weeks were the hardest. I had set a boundary, but that did not mean the pain went away. Some nights I lay awake wondering if I had made a terrible mistake, wondering if I was a bad son, wondering if the parents I thought I knew had ever really existed at all. I would remember moments from my childhood, my dad teaching me to ride a bike, my mom making my favorite meal on my birthday. Were those memories real? Did they love me then? What changed? Or maybe nothing changed. Maybe I just never saw them clearly until now. One night, about a month after the confrontation, my birthday came around. For the first time in 32 years, my parents did not call. No message, no card, nothing but silence. It hurt more than I expected. Harper saw me sitting alone on the couch that evening, staring at my phone. "They did not call," I said quietly. She sat down next to me and wrapped her arms around me. "I know," she said, "but I am here, and you are not alone." That night, she had organized a small surprise. Marcus came over with his girlfriend. A couple of other friends from work showed up with pizza and cake. It was nothing fancy, just people who actually cared about me laughing and talking in my tiny apartment. And somewhere in the middle of it all, I realized something important. Family is not just about blood. It is about who shows up, who loves you without conditions, who wants to see you happy, not just useful. Later that night, after everyone left, I went out to the balcony alone. Harper was asleep in the bedroom. The city lights of Denver glittered below me, and the air was cold against my face. And I cried. Not because of the money, not even because of the lies. I cried because I was mourning something I could never get back. The image of my parents I had carried my whole life. The belief that they would always be there for me, that their love was unconditional, that I could trust them with anything. That version of them was gone. Maybe it never existed at all. I let myself grieve that night. And when I was done, I went back inside and went to sleep. The months that followed were a slow process of rebuilding. Not just my savings account, but my sense of self. Stacy and I started talking every week, sometimes about our parents, sometimes about everything else. She became the family I had been looking for. Marcus kept dragging me out on hikes in the mountains. "Nature heals, bro," he always said, and honestly, he was not wrong. There is something about standing on a peak, looking out at miles of wilderness that puts things in perspective. At work, I threw myself into a new project. Maybe it was a distraction, maybe it was genuine passion. Either way, 4 months after everything happened, I got promoted. My manager told me I had been on fire lately. Whatever I was doing, it was working. And Harper, patient, loving Harper. She never pushed me to talk when I was not ready. She never judged me for the nights I was silent or the days I was angry. She just stayed. Slowly, I started doing something I had never really done before. I started spending money on myself. Not recklessly, but intentionally. I bought a new laptop to replace the one I had been using for 6 years. I took Harper on a weekend trip to Colorado Springs. I started putting money back into savings this time for a future I actually believed in. 6 months after cutting off my parents, I woke up one morning and realized something had shifted. The anger was mostly gone. The hurt was still there, but duller now, like an old scar instead of an open wound. I had accepted the truth. My parents are flawed people who made choices that hurt me. That does not erase the good memories or the love I once felt, but it also does not obligate me to keep suffering for them. I learned that setting boundaries is not selfish. It is necessary. You can love someone and still protect yourself from them. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. I learned that money reveals character. Not just how people spend it, but how they ask for it, and how they react when you finally say no. I learned that growing up sometimes means accepting that your parents are not the heroes you thought they were, and choosing not to repeat their patterns. 8 months later, I have still not spoken to my parents. The door is not locked forever, but it will not open until they are ready to be honest. I am not holding my breath, but life has moved forward. Harper and I bought a small apartment together last month. Our apartment. Our first real home. It is nothing fancy, just 2 bedrooms in a quiet neighborhood. But every square foot of it represents something I chose for myself, something nobody can take away. If you are watching this and you see yourself in my story, I want you to know something. You are not alone. It is okay to say no. It is okay to choose yourself. It does not make you selfish or ungrateful. It makes you human. At the end of the day, the person who will always be there for you is you. So take care of that person, protect that person, love that person, because you deserve it. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family? Have you ever discovered that the people you trusted most were not who you thought they were? Drop your story in the comments below. Let us build a community of people who understand. If this story meant something to you, please hit that like button. It helps more people find these stories and know they are not alone. Subscribe to the channel so you do not miss the next one, and share this video with someone who might need to hear it today. Thank you so much for staying with me until the end. I appreciate every single one of you. Take care of yourselves, set those boundaries, and remember that your peace is worth protecting. Until next time.